Don't start.
Okay, right on. Hey, friends! Welcome to Bible Story Time with Bonnie. I'm Bonnie Curl, and I'm the children's minister here at Northside. And I am so excited to be able to come back into your home again this week to take you on another Bible adventure. Are you ready to go on one? If you are, go ahead and click the heart button so I know that you're ready. And hey, you know what? Have you ever felt like because you're such a little kid that you can't do mighty things for God? Just because I'm little doesn't mean I can't do things and God can use me in great and mighty ways, right? Well, in today's story, we are going to learn about a shepherd boy, and his name is David. And you know what? David is not much older than you are right now. And you know what? David had a great faith and trust in God. In fact, so much so that David was able to turn the tide of a whole battle. Are you ready to go with me on this adventure? Let's go. Tonight's story is, of course, from the Bible, and it's from the Old Testament in 1 Samuel chapter 17, verses 1 through 51. Well, a long time ago, in a land far, far away, there was a mighty king, and his name was King Saul. I am a mighty king of Israel. And today we see that King Saul has brought his whole army out to the battlefield. But what's interesting is King Saul's army is there on the battlefield, but there's no battle going on. I don't know why, but I can tell you that on the other side of the Israelites is another army, and it's the Philistine army. And the Philistine army, actually, if you could see this scene, we got two mountains. And on one side, we have the Israelites all lined up. And then on the other side, we've got the Philistines. They're all lined up. But between them is this big valley that runs between them. So it goes down. And both armies are looking down. They're not fighting each other. They're just looking down. And what do you suppose they're looking at down there? I think we need to find out. So sure enough, down there in the valley, the ground shook with every step that he took. But there was this big, massive, huge, ugly, mean giant of a man. He was taller than 9 feet tall. That's taller than a basketball hoop. And those things are pretty big. And he took every step that he stomped, the ground shook. Boom, 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 boom. And he was the Philistines' champion. And his name was Goliath. I'm Goliath. And he had a massive helmet. It was bronze. A massive bronze helmet that sat on his head. And then he had this huge coat. It's kind of like a coat of metal. And this thing was so heavy, it weighed like 125 pounds. And on top of that, he had a spear. And then he had this huge sword that was a good 15 pounds or maybe more. And then on top of that, he had a big shield that he didn't even carry. He made his armor bearer carry it. So every time Goliath would walk along the battlefield, the armor bearer had to catch up with him to bring his shield. Here we go, sir. Wait, sir. I'm coming. Wait for me. Here's my shield. Is that crazy or what? So I hope you can get the picture that this was a pretty ugly, mean giant whose name was Goliath, and he was the champion of the Philistine army that was up there behind him. And so Goliath would come out every morning and every evening as the army stood there, and he would boom, 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 and he would look up at the Israelite army and he would go, and he would sit there and he would growl at them like that, and he would make fun of them. And the worst thing of all is he'd point to them and say, I defy the armies of the living God. Send down one of your puny men to me, and we will fight hand-to-hand combat. And if I lose and your man defeats me, then we will come and serve you. But if I defeat your man, then you will come and serve us, and you will never be able to worship your God again. That was horrible. And so the Israelites, they were all standing there, and they're like, who's going to go down and fight the giant? Are you going to do it? No, I'm not going to do it. Are you going to do it? No, I'm not going to do it. Hey, Abraham, why don't you do it? You're a pretty good soldier. No, Abraham wasn't going to do it either. Hey, Ish, can you do it for us? No, Ish wasn't going to do it either. Even King Saul was like, hey, whoever will go down there and defeat this Philistine giant, I will give you my daughter in marriage. I mean, that's a deal, guys. But no one would still do it. They were scared to death. Every time Goliath just took a step, boom, boom, boom. And they just stood there, in fear. Well, meanwhile, a couple of miles, or maybe many miles down the road, in a nice little shepherding town and village, there was a young shepherd boy, and his name was David. And David was, tending his sheep like he does every day. And so one day, his father came down to him, happens to be this morning, and his dad said, his father's name is Jesse, and Jesse said, hey, David, can you go take this lunch to our boys? You know, your 3 brothers over there, because they're serving in the Israelite army, and I hear that they are in a big battle. So can you go ahead and take this lunch? I've given them 10 loaves of bread and some cheese, and I put it on this nice little lunchbox for them. So can you take it over there to them? And then when you come back, you can tell me how it's going on. Okay, son? Oh, sure, Dad. I'd be happy to do that. So David took the lunchbox that his dad gave him with the lunch for his brothers, and he took his shepherd staff, because David never goes anywhere without a shepherd staff. A good shepherd always knows, take your staff with you wherever you go. And then, of course, he had his trusty slingshot on him too. So David takes off and walks over, he goes down the road. Obviously, it's just not right around the corner, but he just went ahead and walked because he had a lot of exercise. He was a strong young boy. And he walked over and he came over to where the battle was taking place. And he was like, wow, it's so quiet. Why is there nothing going on? Except he could hear in the distance this boom, boom, boom. And the ground was kind of vibrating. And he's like, hey, guys, what's going on? So he goes on over there to the soldiers and asking, hey, I got some lunch for my brothers. They're over here somewhere. But hey, guys, what's going on? And they're like, what are you doing here, you little shepherd boy? And have you not heard that? And they pointed down to the valley. That is what's going on down here. And so David, he walked over to the side of the big hill or mountain there, and he looked over, and there he saw him. Boom, 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 boom. This massive giant with all this huge metal armor and this 9 feet more tall and big and yucky and he's sitting there growling at the army. David was like, wow, that's some champion they got over there. But when David heard this, he was furious because all of a sudden it's Goliath and taunting them and making fun of them. But then Goliath says, I defy the armies of the living God. Who will come out here and fight me? And David, he heard that and he was like, what? That Philistine giant is defying our God, the one true God, and he is defying God's army? This is wrong. Who's going to go out there and fight? And all the Israelites were like, no, we're not going to go down. Oh, I'm not going to go down there. You're going to go down there. Hey, would you go down there? Would you go down there and fight for God's army? If so, send me, push the little thumbs up button and let me see if you do it. Because you know what? That's pretty scary. And none of them would do it. So all of a sudden, David was getting really angry, even though he was a little shepherd boy. He was really stirred up here because he loved God. And no one should ever try to defy the army of the living God, their God, the God that they worshiped. And so all of a sudden, Saul's like, hey, boys, what's going on around here? What's all this commotion? And so they go, hey, this little shepherd boy, he's sitting there getting all mad at us because none of us will go down there and fight for fight for Israel. And so Saul called David over to his little tent, there, and they're sitting in the shade, having a glass iced tea. And David, what are you doing? What is a little shepherd boy like you doing here? And David was like, well, I came to give my brothers lunch, for my father told me to come and see how the battle was going. And then King Saul, I saw that Philistine giant, and he defied the army of the living God. Someone has got to take him out. And Saul's like, yeah, I know, David. And I've tried, but none of the men will do it because they're so scared. He's a big, scary giant, Yeah, but this is wrong. And so Saul said, well, I don't know, David. I don't know what to do. And so David said, fine. If none of our big soldiers who are strong and skilled and love God, if none of them are willing to go fight this giant, then you know what, King Saul? I will do it. And he stood up with his hands on his hips, real proud. I will fight that giant. And Saul just looked at this little shepherd boy standing in front of him, and you know what he did? You know what he did? He laughed. Ha! Ha! You shepherd boy. Ah! 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 Don't make me laugh, David. Ah! 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 Ha! 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 That's crazy. You're just a little shepherd boy. What can you do? But you know what? No one else is going to do it. So go ahead, kid. Knock yourself out. Go down there and defeat that giant for us in the name of the Lord. So David's like, fine. That's exactly what I'm going to do. Oh, but wait, David, before you go. As you know, I am king, the king of Israel. And I have great, amazing armor that was made for me. So you know what I'm going to do, David? I'm going to give it to you. And I want you to wear my armor. So you can go with my armor, the king's armor, the best armor, into battle to defeat your giant. David's like, oh, all right, whatever. Okay, sure. Why not? So Saul tries to put his big helmet on David, but really it doesn't fit. And then he puts on that big coat of metal that I talked about, And so it's like, it's weighing a ton on him. And then Saul tried to give him his huge, big sword, not quite as big as Goliath, but it was big, and he could barely hold that. Raise it. That's not going to work. And then he tried to give him this huge, big shield. Finally, David was like, okay. So away he goes, starts walking, boom. And he took another step. He's like, hey, dropped everything. Saul, there's no way I could do this. So he took off all the armor, and said, no, God has given me the ability to be able to do what I need to do. Because you know what, Saul, when I was a shepherd boy and I was tending those sheep, a lion would come by to try to hurt the sheep and I would kill that lion. And a bear would come by and they'd try to kill my sheep, but I would kill that bear. So King Saul, I may be a little shepherd boy, but if God's given me the ability to be able to kill a lion and to kill a bear, then I will kill this Philistine for defying the army of the living God. And everyone in Israel will know that the battle today is the Lord's. So Saul was like, huh? Well said, David. You go. And so off David went. And so he took his staff, his walking stick, his staff, and he took his trusty slingshot and he went down to the brook, which was right there in the valley where Goliath was. And so David picked up five smooth stones. Now, I'm not talking about little stones. I'm talking about good-sized stones. And they were smooth. And so David took 5 of those stones and he put them in his pouch. And then guess what, friends? Oh no! Hold your eyes! If this is a scary part, well, go ahead and click on the wow button because something wow is going to happen. Okay? Are you with me? Okay. So David walked over into the valley, right where Goliath was, but he stayed a little ways away, and he just stood there. And Goliath, all of a sudden, what is that? And there he sees David. He sees this little speck of a kid. And he's like, who are you that you send me? That you send me a boy, a shepherd boy, to try to defeat me, mighty Goliath? Wah! Ha! 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 And David just stood there. And Goliath looked at him and said, what are you, boy? Do you think I'm a dog that you come at me with a stick? This day I am going to take you and marry, and I'm going to feed you to the birds of the air and the beasts of the field. You'd think everybody by now would have been terrified, especially David. I mean, the whole Israelite army was like, oh no, I can't watch. Tell me what happens. Oh, I can't watch. But David just stood there and he said, how dare you defy the army of the living God? Today, I will defeat you so that everyone in Israel and the world will know that the battle belongs to our God. And with that, David took out of his pouch one of those rocks and he stuck it in his slingshot and he started swinging it around. And well, I've never used a slingshot before. I feel almost like I'm roping a cow. But anyways, I'm sure this is kind of how it works. Whoosh, 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 getting up that momentum. And then, this is slow motion time. Whoosh. That rock is heading directly towards Goliath. And Goliath, it happened so fast he didn't even know what was happening. The stone sunk into Goliath's head, and he was like, ow! Boom, 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 boom. He fell flat on his face, and the ground shook all around. And for a minute, there was total silence. You could hear a pin drop. And the Philistine army, they were like, oh, our champion, our Goliath, our hero, oh, he's dead. That shepherd boy killed our champion. They were terrified. So you know what they did? They turned around And those Philistines headed the other way. They got out of town and they ran as fast as they could because they knew that the Israel army now was going to be able to overtake them because they could never win without their champion. And he was done. Meanwhile, on the other side, like I said, you could have heard a pin drop. And the Israelites, all the soldiers were like, they and they were all just celebrating and they ran over and they picked David up and they were high-fiving everybody. Have you ever seen a baseball game at the very last second when the guy slides into home base and they win the game and they all come out? Everybody's going crazy. That's exactly what happened here. Everybody was so excited and they were overjoyed because David, a little shepherd boy, killed Goliath, a huge giant. Wow. Wow, friends. Is that not an amazing story or what? And by the way, that is a true story. You want to know why? Because it's in the Bible. And we know, just like I've always told you, everything that we read from the Bible is true because it is God's word and we can always depend on God's word. So now, when I asked you that question at the very beginning, I said, hey, do you think sometimes do you feel like as a little kid, there's not much you can do for God, even though you have your faith and trust in him, but because you're little, everybody looks down to you and thinks like, you can't do that much. Well, you need to tell them the story of David because guess what? Just like David had his faith and trust in God and knew that when God called him to do something, he was going to be able to do it no matter what, because he knew that it wasn't him who defeated that giant. He knew it was God, and he proclaimed it, if you remember. He said, today the battle is the Lord's. So you know what? You may think, well, I don't have any battles, Miss Bonnie, to go out and fight. I mean, I'm not going to go do that. But you know what? There is a battle. There's a battle that we fight every day. And that's the enemy. Because you know what? The enemy does not like God. He wants us to stray from God. That's the devil. But you know what is the biggest, bestest, most amazing piece of armor that we have to defeat him? It's the word of God and prayer. Anytime, anywhere, morning, noon, or night, you can get down on your knees. And you don't even have to get down on your knees because maybe you're in a place where you can't. But you can pray. And you can pray for your friends who maybe don't know Jesus. You can pray that God would send someone to them. Or maybe you could pray for God to give you the courage to go ask them to come to church with you or to come read a Bible story with you. Or your parents. Your parents may have a hard day and they may be having a really hard time at work. You can pray for them and ask God to help them while they're on their job. Friends, prayer is a mighty weapon that God has given us to defeat the enemies and the bad giants that come into our life. And so that's why, my friends and parents of my friends, it is so important to create that rhythm of praying every day. Kids with your parents and parents with your kids. You could do it at night, have a Bible story, and then pray over your children. Or maybe you do it in the morning at breakfast. Or maybe you do it as a family devotion at dinner time or sometime during the afternoon or early morning. It doesn't matter when you do it. But it's the fact that you are coming together to pray together to the Lord. And so when you do that, God's blessings fall and you can do mighty things for God. Well, that's all my time today, friends. I so enjoy coming every Monday at 7 p.m. right here at Northside Christians Facebook. I'm Facebook Living every week. Don't forget, share this with one of your friends. Share this on, have your parents share this on their page so that other people who haven't been able to be here tonight can actually watch it. And it's a great tool to give to people who don't come to church. And they can learn about Jesus too and how amazing his word is. Also, I want to let you all know, parents, that tonight Children's Ministry does have 2 links for you. In the comments area, you'll see it. We have one for preschool and we have one for elementary. These links are going to take you to our Right Now Media page where you can watch the video with your child during any time of your family devotion time during the week or before bed. And your kids, you can see the David and Goliath battle in action. So it's really cool. So I hope you guys can, as a family, take some time to do that. I mentioned Right Now Media. Y'all, that is a free gift to you from Northside. It's a year subscription to this amazing video library. It's like a Netflix, but it's Bible based. Everything is Bible based. There's movies, there's kids movies, there's teens, there's devos, there are tons of things for the whole family to use. So if you haven't already gotten that, check your email. I know Northside sent it out around March 23, March 24, and I know we've all been busy, but check that email because you can log right in, create a password, and you're good to go. If not, please let us know and we will check and see and make sure we can get that out to you, because we want all our Northside families to be able to log into our Right Now Media. Our children's ministry is going to be highlighting that a lot over the next few weeks with our favorite videos that we would recommend for you and your families to do and create your own family rhythm any time of day, whatever works for you and your family. So again, thanks so much. I loved being here. Bye, friends. I hope to see y'all next week. Take care and stay safe. And remember, be a warrior. Be a warrior just like David. Bye.